Hey there, speculators. It's Rod, your futures fanatic. Welcome back to the channel. So, deal or no deal, unless you've been living under a rock if you're involved in the prop space, either on the FX CFD side or on the future side, the payment payout processor called Deel, D-E-E-L, essentially changed their terms of service, and as such, most prop firms, in fact, I think all of them will not be using them anymore. So let's get into it. Tell you a little bit about my thoughts on the whole situation, what you can do, and then hopefully give a little advice out to those of you that are still in the unfortunate world of FX and CFDs, and see if you can come over to a regulated market such as the CME futures markets, which is what the online futures prop trade programs like Earn to Trade and Apex Trader Funding and Top-Step, etc. trade off of. So again, unless you're living under a rock, essentially what happened was Deel changed its policies, and as you can see here, when I just bring it up, it still heavily favors the impact to the FX firms. Now, many prop firms, many FX prop firms, most of them are based offshore in Europe, were affected by this, and then about 6 of the online futures funding prop programs that I talk about. Tonight, I'm just going to go through like Apex Trader Funding and a few others. We don't have to get into all of them because essentially not all of them are affected, and then also many of them have already have solutions in place. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. So what happened was, if you were unaware, the CFTC and the regulatory body in Canada filed a complaint against a firm called My Forex Funds. And I won't go into all of it here. There's plenty of videos that you can just search this. You can find a lot of content, a lot of good content here on YouTube about this particular situation. But the important takeaway was that for the most part, I've read the entire complaint. I've read it many times. I've talked to a lot of these firms about it. I would say about 80 to 90% was very specific to this company. However, about 10% did carry over and is going to impact the online futures prop programs, both Forex, CFD, as well as futures, and we'll talk about that tonight. The first impact has been the payment processing. So if you were not familiar, Deel was a company that processed payments, both affiliate payments as well as payments to traders that were profitable, and a lot of the time those payouts were directly from proceeds from the firm. In other words, their treasury firm, not from live market proceeds. But that's for a whole nother video. Essentially, this was just a cover your ass situation for Deel. Once a firm is related to or paying out from a firm that's indicted by a regulatory body, generally they want to step away from any companies in that particular industry. So what does it mean for the online futures funding business? And specifically, we'll just start with somebody like Apex. So Apex has already published and made it very clear that they're going to be sending ACH payments for U.S. customers, so, which is what they did before. They can also send wires, I think, if the amount is large enough. So if you're in the U.S., it's no big deal. You just provide your ACH information. Again, this is how payouts happened before all these firms switched over to Deel. Deel just made it a little bit easier for them to process payments globally. If you are not in the U.S., then they're going to use Wise, which used to be TransWire or TransWise. That, by the way, was already used by a few firms. So, for instance, Bullinox was not affected by this. Top-Step Trader was not affected by this. They were paying with a different payment method. So the ones that were notable that were affected by this were Apex Trader Funding, Tick Trader was affected. They were paying with Deel. Earn to Trade was affected. They were paying with Deel only very recently, though. So they literally just switched over a couple months ago before this transition. So it's not very disruptive to anything that you're doing here. You're still going to get paid out. You just have to go and provide your ACH information, or as you can see here on the screen, if you do not have a US-based bank account, you're going to set up an account with Wise, and for now, that's the solution that at least Apex is working with. Now, what does this mean for the overall online futures funding business? I'll do a separate video about this very soon, where I can just cover this in more detail, but changes are coming. At a very minimum, likely what's going to happen first is these firms are going to have to disclose the exact nature of these business models, which I have disclosed here for a long time, which is you are trading a demo account. You are trading a demo account even when you're in a funded environment. Until you achieve quite a bit of profits, they're just going to keep you in a demo account. Why? Well, because it's not worth it to them to put you in live markets, because you're generally going to fail and lose their money. That's not the fault of the firms or the programs. Trading is hard. Business is hard. Most people are going to fail. What these sites are going to probably have to start doing is, instead of saying, hey, 5 million in payouts last month, by the way, those payouts were just paid out by all the gambling suckers that didn't win, they're just going to have to disclose that this is very, very difficult. Most people fail. In fact, probably 90 to 95% of all the traders that go through the programs fail. And the ones that do succeed probably don't even succeed for very long. There's a lot of churn even in the payouts, okay? That's the nature of this. It does not make these businesses bad businesses, in my opinion. I will continue to promote them because for the cost, if you handle it properly, just like gambling itself can be entertainment, or drinking or any other perceived vice. Now, I dislike doing that, but I have to make those associations because people understand them. If you are properly speculating, it's more akin to playing poker. It is a game of skill, and if you have skills that are better than your opponents, I'm not saying any of us are better than the markets, but you can give yourself an edge and you can succeed in these programs over time. We talk about acorns to oak trees. We talk about how small the actual accounts are that you're trading. All that is covered in this video and this video. Check out my channel if you're not familiar with prop trading at all. It is a great way to learn how to speculate in markets and day trade the futures markets. And the futures markets are the best products for day trading, not FX CFDs, not cryptocurrency, and certainly not stocks. Stocks have no components to them in any way, shape, or form that make them ideal for trading, day trading, and yet they are abused in a day trading manner. Okay, the futures markets were invented for speculation. You can go long and short. There's no pattern day trader requirement. They have tax advantages even for short-term trading. Stocks have none of that. Stocks are capital inefficient. You don't benefit from any of the dividends or long-term holding benefits by being a day trader in the stock market, and there's a lot of other reasons to not consider stocks. Now, if you are going to be day trading stocks, and you do not have a lot of money, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, you actually do need a prop trading partner, and there are some good prop trading partners for stock trading. But today we're talking about basically the online futures funding programs. And I know I'm just sort of sitting on the screen here, so hopefully I'll make this interesting when I'm just talking to you. But the key here is that the online futures firms, okay, there's really nothing disruptive right now to their ongoing business models. The payout, there was very, very little amount of time before there was a particular glitch. But what is likely coming down the pipe is, again, different messaging, different positioning, probably even more transparency. But if you like, follow, subscribe to this channel, and you're interested in this space, I'll keep you up to it as much as up to speed as much as possible on what I'm hearing about could potentially happen. I'm just guessing, but some of the things that could potentially happen is maybe at some point no longer multiple accounts. That would not be great for a lot of us that like to trade these multiple accounts and use some of the trade copiers. Other things that could come down the pike is that everyone has to pay professional data fees once you're funded. Maybe you even have to pay professional data fees when you're in the evaluation. That will drastically change the cost structures of some of these programs, okay? So we're probably in the golden period heyday right now, and some changes are coming. But what I would not worry about is that they're going to be regulated out of business or you won't get paid. These firms, especially the ones I talk about, Apex Trader Funding, Earn to Trade, Elite Trader Funding, which, by the way, Elite Trader Funding was also affected by this Deel situation. And as of now, I'm not exactly sure what they've switched to, but I believe I've heard they've also switched in the short term to just back to ACH payments and wire transfers, which they were doing before. So Elite Trader Funding, Bullinox, Tick Trader, Take Profit Trader. Okay, Take Profit Trader was also affected by this. So Take Profit has quickly communicated and has made payouts. I've even received a payout, an affiliate payout, just to be 100% clear. It wasn't a payout from profits. It was an affiliate payout, but it goes through the same pipes, and that's all getting paid. So I have very little concern that this is going to change dramatically overnight the nature of the way these companies do business, but it could affect how lucrative the programs are for the firms and how flexible they are for traders that know how to use them properly, okay? So that's all I know at this point, but essentially I would not be concerned about the fact that this Deel payment gateway is no longer available. There's plenty of other ways with which to receive payments. I think the other final component to this is that, and I want to emphasize this, if someone's made it this far and you are still trading on MT4 and you are still trading CFDs, and you have not, I mean, the amount of content that's created for that dark side of the world, because these people just don't know any better. You really, listen, you just don't know any better. I get a comment every other day about Plea's doing content on US 30, which is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, derivative of a derivative of a derivative. And if you want to know what was going on in this complaint, my Forex Funds was trading against some of their traders. They were putting in slippage and all kinds of other things. You can do that when you're working with your own manipulated data feed, okay? It's much, much, much more difficult. Could that be done if there was bad actors in the online futures funding space? Of course. You could interrupt the feed that you're providing, but essentially there's two data providers that provide data for the futures markets in this retail space, and they're Rhythmic Trader, which is super reputable and been around for 20 plus years, and CQG, also super, super reputable. And you're dealing with a CME regulated product, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, regulated by the CFTC here in the United States. So a lot of the problem that started this whole thing is that it has to do with the instruments that you're actually trading. Plus, there's probably 30 to 1 Forex firms for every one online futures funding firm. Why is that the case? Well, because the FX guys don't have to go through any regulations. They can operate offshore however they want using free data feeds, which are really susceptible to manipulation. And if you're trading the US 30, just don't do it anymore. Come over, set up an account with Elite Trader Funding or Apex Trader Funding. I'll put some links down below. Is this self-serving because I represent these firms? Yeah, but I only represent these firms. I get all the time from FTMO. My Forex Funds contacted me. All of them contacted me. All the crypto ones contacted me. I never one time supported any crypto company and all the copy trading crypto stuff at all, with the exception of Voyager for a little while. I was a Voyager fan and I was an investor in Voyager. Full disclosure, obviously Voyager was a complete dumpster fire. But for the most part, from the very beginning, from Top Step in 2013 all the way through to the present day, these firms have been reputable. They are paying out and they'll make it through this, but there could be some changes afloat. If you're still trading FXCFD, I would be concerned. I would be concerned that they all could eventually go away, okay? And make your way over to the light side here, which is the online futures funding space and the firms that I've just referred to. If you want to learn more about how this all works, it really does help the channel if you subscribe to it. Only about 10% of people that watch my videos subscribe. I don't blame you because I just sit here and rail into the into the screen a lot of the time. But I have been doing this for an awful long time. And I will be the first to tell you, if at any point in time, I believe any of these firms that I've talked about on my channel have flipped the bozo bit or doing anything nefarious, or I ever get word that, in other words, there's also 10 or 15, maybe 10 plus online futures funding that are using the CME products and trade the S&P, the ES, the NASDAQ, the NQ, have contacted me, but I wasn't able to talk to their founders. I wasn't able to find out enough about them, so I just ended up passing. So the takeaway here, don't be too concerned about the Deel payment transition. It's not a big deal, all right? Second, there is probably changes coming to all prop trading firms. Most of the changes would probably happen on the FXCFD side, but they're definitely going to come to the futures markets, which we love so much right now. And then finally, if you are still trading at all of these futures firms, Forex firms, even FTMO, the big, most quote unquote reputable and surprisingly very quiet firm during all this tumult in the FX space. If you're trading at any of these firms, check out my channel. Come over here. Get to the right product. You can trade these products in countries all over the world, folks. It's not like you can't trade them in, I always hear you can't trade futures in Canada. Sure, you can trade futures in Canada. Do you have the same amount of options? No. There's less brokers, there's less prop firms to choose from, but you certainly can. All right, I rambled for a while. I will put timestamps this time. Stay green, trade like you mean it, and we'll see you at the next one.